It is December 12th, Tuesday at 6:33 p.m., and this is the Development and Governmental Relations Subcommittee meeting. We have on this subcommittee Councilor Ocasio, Councilor Sullivan, Councilor Devine, Councilor Anderson Burgos is on Zoom with us, and myself, Councilor Gibner. So December 10th. Thank you.
I looked at my watch.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes for item number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I have to read this too. I'd like to entertain a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to remove an item from the table, place items on the table, package items open, or close the public hearing, or suspend the rules unless there's an objection.
So moved.
All right. So a motion to take up item 2.
So moved.
Item 2 is a petition from Francisco Martir for a food vendor license. The application is for 415 Main Street. It was tabled on September 30th and October 28th. Is Mr. Martir here this evening?
No, I don't see him.
Okay.
Yeah, I would make a motion that it be denied and a copy sent to the Board of Health.
Under discussion. Is
Sure.
it because he's not here again?
Also because he's been operating without a license.
Oh,
Ah.
okay, good to know. Okay, I would second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So,
I think you have to call the roll. Because Juan's on Zoom.
oh, you're correct. All right, roll call vote. Councilor Ocasio? For the same motion because Juan is on Zoom. To deny the,
Yeah.
Councilor Sullivan?
Yes.
Councilor Devine?
Yes.
Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
And myself, Councilor Givner, yes. Motion to take up item 3.
So moved.
Item 3 is a public hearing for a special permit application of Daniel Laflamme to operate a light truck repairing and detailing center at 41 Temple Street. So do we need to make a motion to?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is Mr. Laflamme here? Yes. So would you like to just tell us briefly what this is for?
We need your name and address, please.
On the side of the microphone, there's a,
There we go.
Thank you.
Daniel Laflamme, 316 Montcalm Street, Chicopee, Mass. It's a small, it's gonna be a small auto repair truck shop for like just miscellaneous cleaning, detailing, and small light repairs on site at the shop. Just trying to open it up. You know, it's only for our own, vehicles, not for the public. So we're just trying to get up and running 100%.
Okay. So we all have the application here. Are there any questions from the committee?
Do you have an extra packet?
Um,
I'll make it, okay.
sorry.
Let me just review the application. For Mr. Well,
Sorry, Councilor Bartley is also in the chambers. Councilor Bartley.
yeah, thank you. Mr. Flam, welcome. So the permit is to just, why don't you just elaborate on what you want to do here? Because I'm not, I need a little more detail than what you just said.
Okay, so what we do is we buy and sell used trucks. I've got a used car license in Chicopee and a repair license in Chicopee. It's just a small shop, so I'm trying to expand into Holyoke. And we purchased the building a while ago, but so we're trying to use it to its full capacity. Just it has 2 large bay doors, and we could actually work inside, out of the weather elements. So we take our stuff, from auction and, or our other lot in Chicopee and just bring it over, a couple at a time, and we go through them and check them out and clean them, et cetera.
Okay, and what was the part about not being open to the public that
Yeah, so we just want to do our own thing. There's not going to be any signage, no extravagant lighting. It's just a couple motion lights in a corner of a building, just like a residential. We blend seamlessly into the neighborhood. We've been here for about 13 years now, 14 years. We fixed the building up tremendously. It was just falling. It was dilapidated, just falling down. We purchased the house next to it. We fixed that house up as well. We've really put 100% into that neighborhood.
Okay, and just again to the chair, you were just remind us, you were the vendor that came for a zone change?
Correct.
Okay, and that was a joyful experience, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that was a completely joyless experience.
Right.
But fortunately, it worked out. But you were put through the ringer completely on that one. Just some outrageous comments were made by now ex-planning board members. Amen, right?
Okay.
So if the committee puts conditions on this, such as, do you want to open it to the public at some point? Do you want to have?
I'm not opposed to helping. I've helped neighbors before and stuff like that. But our main thing is just fixing our own vehicles and just wanted to be, properly licensed for it, I guess is the term.
Well, if you're properly licensed, the license either can have conditions or not. So
Okay.
So
I'm not opposed to having the, helping the public and being hired by the public. I just thought it would be easier. I'm sorry to interrupt. So I thought maybe it'd be easier just to not work for the public. That's all. Just less everything in general.
All right. So what hours would you want to be working in there?
It's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to say 6 p.m.
Okay. So I'd probably ask the committee. I can't make the motion, but the committee could probably make a motion, put that condition on there.
Okay.
And then I think you should just leave the license the way it is. I don't think we should add conditions about not open to the public.
Oh, sure, that's fine. Yeah. I was just kind of giving a quick rundown. Like, I wasn't trying to get anything elaborate where you get too many vehicles, too many people, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple.
You're properly zoned.
Yes.
So we don't have to worry about that anymore. And from my recollection of the 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, you were nothing but a credit to the neighborhood. Just one planning board member just had it out for you for whatever reason. And so it took us up multiple meetings, but we got there. So I'm hopeful that, if that's just it, if the only condition you pay is, say, for that part of your business to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and I think you'd be okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if I remember correctly, the planning board committee member who's no longer part of the planning board committee committee, the concern was the spill of oil or any kind of liquid that might possess a problem in the area. And given that this is a heavily thick residential area, I was raised in Springdale Park, so I know exactly where this is. This is all homes. And so my concern is there what are you doing there now that's going to be different that you're asking for a permit application? Because originally it was just to store your vehicles, and now you want to actually work on the vehicles in that space. And I'm wondering if this is spot zoned, which I believe it is, does that allow for that kind of work to be performed on that lot? So I want to, anybody can weigh in, please, because I just want to make sure. I don't live there, but I can imagine what it's like to live there and be concerned like this.
I don't have an answer for you.
Did you want to say something? Or okay.
Counselor Devine?
Yeah, thank you. Were you great gentlemen that helped plow people out and shoveled their walks and things like that. And somebody actually complained that you did that. So I'll tell you where I live, and if you could do that for me,
planning
I'd
board.
really appreciate that. But anyways,
I'm not letting that go.
I have something from the planning department, and the zoning is correct. It's zone business highway. The access and egress, an existing driveway is present. It also says, access and egress points shall be well-defined and have sufficient width. The size and access, each off-street space shall be at least 9 feet in width by 18 feet. The plan as submitted illustrates a permanent building having 2554 square feet. All repairs shall be conducted inside a permanent building which meets all state building code requirements for the use. And I have absolutely no problem with granting this special permit from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, you said?
On occasion, it might be just, we stop in on occasion and we can just look around, nothing, there's no work being,
Okay. And then it just says, I read something else here.
Cocaine?
Yeah, I don't see any problem from Jeff Burkhart, the principal planner. No outdoor stockpiling of parts shall be permitted on the entire site. All signage shall be in accordance with the zoning ordinance. It also talks about lighting. All lighting on the site should be shielded from the abutting properties and the right-of-way. No information related to lighting was provided on the plan, but you seem pretty honest that you're going to be careful with any signage and any lights that could disturb your neighbors,
Absolutely.
who, from what I understand, think you're the best.
I do my best, I try hard.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Bartley?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on one other question, Mr. Flynn. So when you're working on the cars, I mean, you're regulated in that you've got to have the right catch basins and the right ways to dispose of motor vehicle fuels and oils and all the rest of that. Why don't you just touch on that for half a minute?
I did register with the, I think it was the Department of Environmental, just as a very small oil, waste generator, a waste generator, that's what it's called. There's next to none oil, next to nothing will be generated at that location. Like I said, we're basically cleaning. We sub out anything like those Jiffy Lube for small stuff like that, like oil changes and things like that. We do have some quartz oil on the premises if needed, but nothing, by no means is it any kind of a Jiffy Lube or lubing station or anything like that. We're very conscious of anything dripping on the ground. We put a piece of cardboard. If we see something dripping, we have Speedy Dry readily available. We're very conscious about the whole entire property and the neighborhood as well.
And just repeat for me, who are you registered with?
The Department of Environmental Protection, DEP.
Okay, all right. So when we throw out trial balloons, like spot zoning, we throw out trial balloons about concerned about oil spillage. That's not spot zoning. So that was grandfathered in as a business way before zoning laws, and that was already established.
Okay.
So it's not spot zoning.
Thank
So so don't. But that's a false argument.
Okay.
The part about the oil and all that, though, that's potentially relevant. So you touched on it. You're regulated with the Department of Environmental Protection. Correct. If necessary, you can produce something that would show us that you are, correct?
There's an actual number, yes.
Okay, all right, so you have an actual certificate. Okay, so I think that I echo Councilor Devine's comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Sullivan, did you have something?
I've just gone to also Springdale Machine operated in that area for years. It's in the backyard of Subaki. I mean, yeah, it's residential, but it's very heavily industrial as well.
That's
So,
Father Mike, no doubt.
yep.
Nothing else? So, just to go back to the letter from the planning department, it looks, and I hate to be the person to point this out, but it looks like they were looking for plans drawn to scale, that there were some details missing from your application. Are you aware of that at all?
I just printed out something, Jeffrey from the mayor's office, or my board's office, counselor's office, I apologize. I just received that letter, just print out like an hour ago. Yeah, I'm sorry, before the meeting.
Okay.
Didn't have a chance to actually go over it too much.
Yeah, the only reason I would caution us to pass this right away is that it seems like the planning board or the planning department was waiting for plans drawn to scale. It seemed unclear how many indoor spaces were available for working on vehicles. There seemed to be some questions about the frontage as far as how many spaces or parking spaces are actually there. There's a few things on here that I would prefer to see cleared up before we would approve this, but I mean, it's also the will of, Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, it's not the will of the body. So you've got to wait for planning board to close its public hearing, and we can close afterwards our public hearing.
Okay.
So we have to leave it open. Now, planning board plays this games more than once, and with this particular applicant. So I would just say, if I may, I'm not the lawyer for the committee, so you can, if there's a lawyer here, Mike's on board, so Mike can better advise you on this. But my understanding is you can just ask the applicant to go ahead, resubmit, and then continue us to a date certain. I think you're meeting in January, if I remember.
Yeah, we have some dates coming up.
Yeah, so.
So you just,
And then, if I could just, 30 seconds, and then we'll just ask you to coordinate with Mr. Burkott to verify when he's going to close their public hearing, so you can properly close ours and we can move this forward.
thank you, Counselor Bartley. Yes, Mr. Lefine.
Plans, I did have plans drawn up to scale, and we submitted several copies to everybody.
Yeah, so, I mean, so if you just got this letter, you haven't looked at it yet, there's specific questions about the plan, so there might be some additional information that they're looking for.
I thought I saw something about lighting as well. There's lights are indicated on the plan.
Yeah, it's lighting, it's some of the things, there was a concern that some things weren't drawn to scale, and that there was frontage issue, that were possible frontage issues, so, and those are things that I can't clear up,
Okay, sure.
yeah.
One thing I would ask if there was, it's up to you, usually we would ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor or speak against.
Absolutely. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or against this applicant?
You do have a hand raised on Zoom.
Oh, where is that? I don't see it. Sorry, Jeffrey, I can't see it.
We can't see it out here, Jeffrey.
Can you allow whoever the member of the public is on Zoom to speak?
Hello, can folks hear me?
Sure, just your name and address, please.
Yeah, now.
Sure. My name is Catherine Newman, and I live on 33 Temple Street, which is the street that the trucking company is operated on.
Great.
So I just had wanted to just say I moved to the neighborhood in 2019, just me and my service dog, and Daniel is one of the folks that has helped me plow out my driveway and things like that from time to time. And it's just been a joy living on the street. There's no noise, as he said, he's so clean. It actually feels very reassuring to have him on the street every day when I walk out, even this morning. They'll give you a honk and a wave, and it just sort of is peace of mind that you kind of know they're there, but you don't ever really see them. It's the same with the machine shop midway down. So I know that sounds like obviously you're waiting for some other pieces to go through, but we love having them on the street. So I just wanted to put that out there as another reminder that it's just been really lovely to live here and to know if we need help, they're there, know that they're keeping kind of things neat and tidy, and you wouldn't really know being on our street that they even were sort of there unless you were looking for the shop, sort of. So.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone else I can't see online, Jeffrey?
That's the only hand at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah, sure, Counselor Devine.
Yeah, thank you. I do have a question to Attorney Bissonnette. Only because it's been a while since I've been back here to do public hearings. we have to wait for the planning board to do theirs, or can we close it now since we've heard from everybody?
You're entitled to close the hearing or continue it as the committee sees fit. The better practice is to wait for the recommendation of the planning board so that we don't devolve into another situation where the council has approved a special permit. Say for having a Dunkin' Donuts in a contested area, and the planning board either doesn't go along with that or winds up in litigation. So you want to try to balance the hearing process for both sides. In this instance, I would caution and suggest you just continue your hearing to a date certain.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yeah, Attorney Bissonette. So I understand what you said about comparing it with the Dunkin' Donuts and the abutters and the possible lawsuits, but this has been in operation here for some time. We just had a public hearing, heard no complaints from any neighborhoods, nothing but compliments. Just in the scale of the potential problems here, and the hang-ups with the planning board, I don't see the risk of going forward, of us going forward with this. I understand. Pardon?
I said, understood.
Okay.
There's nothing that would prevent you from closing the hearing and taking action. Another council committee has closed the hearing and is awaiting further action. They laid it on the table, awaiting further recommendations from planning. So there's a number of ways to deal with it, but you're of course entitled to close your hearing and take action as you see fit. There's no absolute requirement to wait for the planning board. But the problem is that the planning board may impose conditions that your special permit did not. So there will be a difficulty in squaring the two permits. And so that's why I just caution patience. Clearly, the neighborhood is very comfortable with the operations of the truck shop in their neighborhood, so I don't see that as a problem with waiting.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit lost. The planning board could impose conditions after we grant the license?
You grant the permit.
Special permit.
All right, but they could impose those conditions anyways.
Right.
No, whether we do or we don't, they could impose.
Counselor Bartley?
Well, respectfully, I would just say their role is to recommend. Our role is the council's role is to issue the permit. It's the council's vote that controls. I think what Attorney Bissonette's saying is, and this is a gray area, Mike, so believe me, this is like arcane law. I mean, craziness. So I would just say, if we have a special permit and, we close our public hearing, take a vote and issue permit, they still have their public hearing open. So I think they can do, that's a gray area for me, Mike. I don't know what happens then. So if Attorney Bissonette's saying they can then go ahead and issue a permit with other conditions, how does that help the applicant? So I'm just, and I don't know what kind of enforcement they would have, but they would just recommend, the way I've always done it and understood it is they recommend to us, we can take it or not. So, and usually we do. Usually we are receptive to the planning board's recommendations.
All right, so then my question would be, could we send this to the council, waiting to hear still if there is anything happen with the planning board? We could send it forward, and if there was nothing, it could be tabled, but we could at least get it moving on.
Well, can I just ask,
Of course.
can I just ask the petitioner?
Sure.
Is there a time constraint on this? Could you wait till January to?
If need be, sure.
Okay, so I'm just saying, if the petitioner's okay with it, I would just rather go in regular order, Mike, but that's me. You guys do what you do.
All set?
I agree.
Well, I would say we should leave the public hearing open, table this to January 13th when our next DGR meeting is. And
Mr.
hopefully,
Chair?
oh, sorry, Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Thank you. Yeah, so first of all, Mr. Laflamme, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate what you're doing in that neighborhood. I want to just echo, I support you and what you're doing. So I also am with Councilor Bartley. I want to wait for the planning board to finish what they're doing. And we'll definitely send this after it's all cleared. That's all.
Counselor Devine?
Yeah, my only problem with that is, and again, if memory serves me correctly, when we don't close a public hearing, that gives people the opportunity to add more things to this hearing for a special permit, which I think is unfair to Mr. Laflamme. I think that he's come before us, he's done what he's supposed to do, he's asking for a special permit through the city council. He has given us the times, the Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. He's had positive reviews from the neighbors, and my only concern is when we don't close a public hearing, you can still add to it. And my concern is that negative things could come out, and they could have come out tonight and they didn't. So my feeling is that we close the public hearing. We have no idea when the planning board's going to meet, and again, if memory serves me correctly, they don't meet, they have a lot of things on their plate, let's just say that. So my tendency is to close the public meeting.
Is that your motion?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All right. Counselor Sullivan? All in favor? Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
No.
And myself, Counselor Ocasio, did you hear the motion?
Was to close the
Close the
public
public hearing, or yes, if you'd like to close it, yes? And myself, Counselor Givner, no, so that's
3-2.
3-2. So the public hearing is closed, and we will continue this, we'll table this to January 13th, so I will...
I would make a motion that we approve the special permit and send it to the council.
Second.
All right. Counselor Bartley?
You want to add the condition?
With the conditions that I see are that he is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and the lighting cannot be detrimental to the neighborhood. He's already gone to the DEP, is that correct? To take care of any oil, that type of stuff. I can't think of any other conditions.
I would add a condition that anything that needs to be addressed in this December 10th letter be addressed to the planning department.
Second.
Yep, that's a good one.
All right, so that's the motion.
Okay.
The motion, if I may, would just,
Counselor McGrath-Smith?
I thought in the recent issue that we had that we were told that we should not do that.
Exactly.
That we needed to be clear about our conditions and that we were giving up our authority wrongly by saying that we would allow the planning board to decide,
Planning department.
planning department decide, when they had done what they needed to do in order to be approved. That those specific conditions needed to be named by us, not them.
Well, there is this letter. It has all the conditions that the planning department requires. It states specifically the drawings needed, anything that they didn't already see in his drawings, and anything that they require. So, it would be my preference to keep this tabled in committee, but, it's the will of...
Maybe it's possible for the city solicitor to weigh in. If they say it's fine, then it's fine. I just want to make sure we're not repeating that issue that we've had in the
That
past.
makes sense. Counselor Bartley?
I just want to add one small, just want to clear on the motion. So the motion would be to grant the license with the aforesaid conditions.
The special permit.
You're right. I'm losing it, Patty. Grant a special permit with the aforesaid conditions.
And send it to city council.
Well, there you go. Right. So that would be the so somebody's gonna make that motion and,
I think we just did.
Chair Givner?
oh, okay, I didn't hear with the conditions on there.
Counselor Bacon, sorry, I didn't see you. Thanks.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that often in ordinance committee with public hearings, we have incorporated letters, as you just referenced, with the issues that the planning folks put forth, and we have in the past incorporated them, and the applicant has stipulated that they will address them, and that has worked out fine. I believe in the other example, we hadn't received a letter yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bacon. All right.
On the motion?
So the motion is to recommend the special permit be granted with the following stipulations, that all the letters, all the items from the December 10th letter from the planning department be addressed. Was there something else that you wanted to add?
Monday through Friday, 9 to 6.
And that the operating hours be Monday through Friday, 9 to 6.
And I think part of the letter from the planning is about the lighting.
Correct.
Not being detrimental to the neighborhood.
So those are all included.
Yep.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Roll call vote. Counselor Ocasio?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
No.
Counselor Givner? No. So that's 3-2, and that will be sent to City Council with the speculations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, if I could?
Yep.
I'll give you a couple minutes there.
No, go for it.
If we could suspend the necessary rules and take up item 7 and item 8, they're hopefully fairly simple items that we can take up now, because all the other items that are on our agenda will probably be time-consuming.
Item 9 is simple too, Patty.
So we're going to start with,
I don't know that it's that simple, to be honest with you, in my opinion. So,
that's the motion to take up item 7 first out of order.
yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 7 is ordered that the Holyoke Assessor's Parcel 6305, 133 Pine Street, Holyoke, be sold to the abutter Pine and Suffolk LLC with an address of 175 Suffolk Street for $4,500. This property is valued at under $35,000, therefore exempt from the procurement requirements. This property was originally sold via auction to the above abutter, but due to an error in the auction process, the same was declared void. $4,500 was the auction price, and the abutter plans to utilize the property in connection with his business located on either side of the property. This property was previously declared surplus.
Here, you can use mine if you want. You got it? We have a letter from Lori Casey. I don't know if you have that. It came later today.
So this is for 7 and 8. Should we be taking them up together?
Yes, I think they're related.
All right, so also item 8 is ordered that parcel at Old Rock Valley Road, Holyoke, be declared surplus and sold to the abutter Jessica Mazier with an address of 22 Old Rock Valley Road for $25,000. This property was valued at under $35,000 and therefore exempt from procurement requirements. The abutter plans to keep this property as an open space. So,
Move we take it off the table for discussion.
so moved.
I think the parties are here. I've
Okay.
seen them in the audience.
So for 7, are both going to the same? So, yeah, so the first, Robert Cameron?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you want to come up and just give us a little overview of what's going on? But we'll need you to speak into the mic.
Yeah. The property in question here has been.
Your name
Name
and
and
address,
address.
please.
Pardon me?
Name and address, please.
Bob Cameron, 175 Suffolk Street, Holyoke, Mass. The property in question is made available 12 years ago when there was a fire at 175 Suffolk, 139 Pine, all the way down to all the other 4 adjoining properties. At that time, I was able to purchase the first 2, and the last one was not able to pick up the property in question here. So for 12 years, I've been trying to purchase this property through the city with no luck. We've been using the property. No one knows the property's there except for us. You can't see it from the street. You can't see it really from the alley. So we're just trying to secure the property so we can protect our assets which we can't do at this point in time.
And so this went to auction, and you basically thought you purchased it, and then it didn't go through?
Yeah, it went to auction, I forget how many years ago. There was several properties being auctioned off. We did present their bid. It was, it was accepted till it got to this point, or something. There was some kind of error along the way. The whole auction was canceled.
All right, thank you. Did you have something, Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, first of all, Bob, you got to stay in front of the microphone, okay? That's all, that's point 1. Point
Not that
2,
smart.
point 2 is, what was the agreed to price at auction?
$4,500.
Well, there you go.
We have a letter too from Treasurer Casey as to what happened with the auction.
Yes, I did thank you, Madam Chair, because from the
She's the
committee.
chair.
Yeah.
Well, you're chair of the committee. Thank you, Madam Assistant Chair. So I would just say that yes, that was a pass the buck type situation, and which is amazing that this been sitting. Well, I mean, I'm saying it. I mean, what am I going to tell you? Did you see the letter or not? I mean, it was a pass the buck type of, not me. Or my favorite one is, I wasn't working at the time. That's my all-time favorite. So the issue is that Mr. Cameron's been using this. Now it's going to be put on the tax rolls. I don't see how this is I don't see any downside to this.
Agreed, Councilor Bartley. I mean, the fact that you thought you purchased it and then hadn't is kind of baffling, so that's unfortunate. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have to act on this one first, or can we take up
We're separate.
the Mazer?
Separate, yeah.
Okay. All right, so
I'd make a motion that we accept the $4,500 for the 133 Pine Street lot.
Second.
all in favor, Councilor Ocasio?
Yes.
Councilor Sullivan?
Yes.
Councilor Devine?
Yes.
Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Councilor Givner, myself, yes.
Okay.
All right, granted. We will send this to City Council. And then 8 is the Old Rock Valley Road for Jessica Mazer, or sorry if I'm Messier. Thank you. Sorry about that. Just your name and your address, please.
Sure. Jessica Messier Chartier, 22 Old Rock Valley Road.
All right. So just a little overview of what's going on and why you want the property.
So I've been living at the property for 10 years. The land's abutting. We have offered over back tax value and really just would like to protect our privacy, our space, and then take ownership and care for the property itself because it has been lacking a little bit since we've been there.
Okay. That sounds nice enough, and it's right next door to you, and you just want to keep open space, so you're expanding your yard, basically.
Yes.
That's really
wooded
nice.
area, yes.
Any questions from the committee?
Oh, I do, but just give me half a second, because I hate reading these on a computer. I don't have a packet. So just give me half a minute. Okay, Ms. Messier, you've been living there how long? Just
10 years.
10 years, okay. And this parcel for which I'm trying desperately to find the description, because we don't have any from OPED at this meeting for some reason. Okay, again, I don't see anything. So who owns, so the city has it now, the city took over tax title. I assume that's what happened. I don't know if it's in your pack or not. I just don't see it in my computer, so.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the city took over tax title, for some reason. Okay, so we don't know how much the when the deadbeats left, how much they left owing in taxes, so,
17,000.
how much?
17,000.
Oh, look at this. We got, you want a job in OPED? I'll tell you.
I appreciate
Come down here and help
I can
us.
stick in healthcare for a bit more.
Yeah, maybe your husband can get a job with us. But all right, so okay, and so and just what's the size of the parcel?
About 4 acres.
Okay, and what's the zoning on it? Do we know what it's zoned?
Residential.
Okay, R1. Okay, all right. So, okay, so if is it, does it abut the street, or does it have access to the street, or is it behind you?
No, it does not have access to the street.
It does not have access.
No,
Oh.
it abuts my current property.
So it's back behind you. Okay, and okay. All right. So I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but you know, you have to think theoretically too, right? Because somebody ultimately you might want to sell your property, and somebody could then buy the property, and somebody then could grant an easement through your property to the back parcel, and they got 4 acres that they could develop, which I don't think is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's, you know, I want us all to be real. It's not gonna be a meadow for.
We're rooted in the community. Our kids attend school in town, and we intend to stay there.
Well, yeah, it's not that. It's, you know, I don't know what's going to happen when I walk out that door. I mean, so you don't know what's going to happen either. So, I mean, I'm all for putting properties back on the tax roll, and I appreciate. I think you have a very fair offer here, and I certainly intend to support it. What I'm saying is just hypothetically. I mean, you can't ignore the fact that somebody could buy your property, put an easement on it, and gain access to it, and build four houses. Which, again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a positive thing if in fact it's zoned R1. So, which I'm pretty confident would be. So, my questions are answered, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Bartley.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing.
Sure.
Yeah. How fast can you? Are you getting a loan for this?
No, I could pay you tomorrow.
Well, that's not going to happen because we have to take a vote next week. But okay, so
No loan.
it's a cash sale.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Anybody online? No.
No, I would make a motion that we accept the offer to buy this property.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Councilor Ocasio?
Yes.
Councilor Sullivan?
Yes.
Councilor Devine?
Yes.
Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Myself, Councilor Givner, yes. All right, thanks. We'll send this to City Council for approval.
And just, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think we had a message from Mr. Vega relative to item 9, which is.
We do. I have that information too.
I wonder if we could take that up. I think you're just going to table it anyhow, so I don't think we're going to kick this forward because he doesn't have an answer for us. But
All right.
I'll make a
What answer-
motion to take up item
thank you,
9
Patty.
out of order.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So 9, order that OPED please provide an update on the former Kmart Plaza. On the main door to the former retailer is a contact information that appears to be a new owner. Please reach out to them and circle back to City Council per their website for DGR follow-up. So we did get a communication about this. I had been doing some digging as well after this order came through. The email states that the OPED staff continues to monitor interest in the former Kmart Plaza, currently owned by TF Holyoke Mass LLC, aka Transformco Investments of Illinois. There's a local broker currently negotiating with Transformco, and though we have only limited info, we should get an update by the end of the year and could discuss this with DGR once we have information at the January meeting. So in regards to this order, there is no new owner at the property, and the property does not owe any back taxes to the city. So that's the information we received. Yes, Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, so I just thank you for reading that, and I hope you can put it on the January agenda. I'd love to know who the local broker is. So that's not disclosed. I can tell you that I've called that number that's posted to the door numerous times.
No answer.
You're not going to get a human being. It's impossible. I've emailed the contact person on there, wherever it is. well, I don't have her name here, but no response from the email. The email went through, it didn't bounce, but no response whatsoever. So, and it doesn't surprise me that their taxes are current. I assume their vacant building fees are current too, but that would be a question we can ask on January 13th, and maybe the collector or the treasurer, I guess, would let us know if the vacant building fees are up to date as well. But there's no surprise to me if they would be, because these are massive corporations that have money to burn. But it's, to me, it's a sitting white elephant that on a great location with access to the highway. I don't get it. And I mean, I don't get why we don't get regular updates from OPED on this. I understand the corporations are enormous, but this has been, I mean, ShopRite, Ms. Gibner, you weren't even alive when ShopRite was open.
Stop it.
I'm sure of that. There's no way you were. There's no way when it last closed. There's no way. And Kmart, everybody's favorite store for garden supplies is now gone. So it's, although the corporation still exists and there's still Kmart's open, but not here, unfortunately. And so somebody's got to do something with that building. And by the way, that same corporation owns 5 of the pad sites that are on that campus. So they're collecting rents. And I guess they're happy collecting the rents from the Denny's of the world and et cetera, and the Burger Kings of the world. I mean, good for them. But there's got to be something a little more pressing here after all this time from the mayor's office and OPED. So I hope we can hear from them on the 13th, and I would appreciate if you just pop that on the agenda at that time. Thank you.
Absolutely. So the motion is to table this item to January 13th for an update.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Should we take up item number 10?
I think we still have to do a roll call. Counselor
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
And myself, yes, Counselor Gibner. All right. Now,
I don't see Tessa on there, and I'm just wondering if we should take up item 10 unless somebody knows something about it. Because all the rest of the things are dealing with,
well, I would just take it up last then.
okay.
Counselor Bissonnette? Attorney Bissonnette, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 10 is a redraft of a home rule petition that I'd ask the committee to adopt and forward to the council for their next meeting and approval. This has been before the council twice previously, I believe. The problem was that the definition of the boundaries of the west zone had been changed, but they have to be changed to reflect a change in Chapter 310 of the Acts of 2014, which is the enabling legislation for this, which you may recall, this is for additional liquor licenses in the designated area, only for restaurants that open within that designated area. It allows some financial contribution through the redevelopment authority for those restaurants and some help with the cost of their liquor licenses. It allows Hoyoke to have additional liquor licenses within the designated areas. In addition, it looks like due to some editing errors back in 2014, 2 of the sections were renumbered. And as a result, the opening section of the statutory enactment was erroneous and did not actually include the description. So we've also taken to correct that. And hopefully this can go to Senator Vilas and Representative Pat Dunphy, and they can take action to move this through the State House for us. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette.
I make a motion that we do just that and bring that to the city council with our approval.
All right. Second, is there a second?
Second.
Did you have a question, Counselor Sullivan?
Yeah, I mean, we're being asked here to, it's looking for a geographical description, right, to be added.
Right.
But we're not being shown what that geographical description is.
So
So we're approving something without seeing it.
this was in front of us a few times already. I think Counselor Bartley and I had some discussions about this in here. I'm pretty sure this was like a couple months ago, and
I
we had
remember
the
all the
description. So they want to add the description that we talked about, but I can understand wanting to see a map of that.
Madam Chair?
Sure.
Council should have, and Jeffrey may be aware of this, an actual home rule petition that was drafted. Mike Sullivan's absolutely right that the problem this couldn't go forward was because there wasn't a home rule petition that had that description, the new description, the updated description in it. So there was no way for anyone in Boston to know what the Holyoke City Council wanted to change. So with OPED's help, I redrafted we drafted the first home rule petition that you're going to see, and I hope that was in your packet tonight.
Unfortunately, it was not.
Not sure if Jeffrey has any idea where that might be.
The only thing I was given is the petition that's before the committee right now. When they approved the two orders previously to extend the Center City liquor licenses, those two orders had the geographical locations and the maps, but those two orders didn't have a petition with them.
And did you get a petition from us? I think that was sent over on the date of the last meeting.
Well, there is a petition with this one. It's with the order. It doesn't have the geographical locations as Councilor Sullivan mentioned.
So I think what we might want to do is send it to council without recommendation, pending receipt of the description, so we could see it. I'm sure it's all in order, but we'll see it before the full council votes on it.
Okay. I'll make that motion that Counselor Sullivan just said.
All right. So, all in favor, Counselor Ocasio? Yes. Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Counselor Givner, yes. All right, so we will send that and get the attachments so we can make a decision. So it's being sent without recommendation to City Council.
Madam Chair?
That's yours, right? No, keep it there. I just want to make sure.
Sorry,
I'll send
Jeffrey?
those geographical locations from the two previous meetings. I'll send those out in the next 5 minutes.
Oh, hang on a second. May I? It's actually on the back side of this order.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh, great. Would we like a motion to reconsider?
Yeah, motion to reconsider.
Motion reconsider. That's why I don't like both sides.
Yeah.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
And I'd make a motion that we approve the authorization and send it on to the council.
Second.
All in favor, Counselor Ocasio?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Counselor Givner, yes. Okay, so recommended to be approved to council. Oh, that's exciting. All right, what's next? Anybody?
Let's see, I think we're on
Okay.
We're at 4.
item 4, yeah.
Want to take up 4 and 5 as a package?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
We have to do everyone roll call. Yeah, Counselor Ocasio.
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan.
Yes.
Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
And Counselor Givner, yes. All right. Item 4 is the motion that the Conservation Commissioner be invited in to attend a future DGR meeting to provide an update on the construction in and around Scotts Tower. Please be prepared to address the issue of water runoff to the pond owned by the abutters at 5 and 15 Lindor Heights. And then item 5 is in order that the procurement office present any contracts relative to the Anniversary Hill Scotts Tower project by and between the city, Kestrel Land Trust, the CPA committee, etc., to the city council via communication by the first meeting in September if possible. Please email documents. All right, so we have our conservation team here. Would you like to come in and have a seat? Thanks, guys. All right, and we've received some communications. Everybody's received the communications?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse my back.
So let me just pull up these here. All right, 5, 4. All right, how should we start this? I guess we'll start with 4, which is the beginning. So we've
Maybe some intros would be helpful,
oh
Madam
yeah,
Chair.
sure. So would you mind introducing yourselves?
My name is Edward Sweeney. I am the interim Chief Procurement Officer.
I'm Yoni Glogauer. I'm the Holyoke Director of Conservation and Sustainability.
I'm Jeff Horan. I'm the Vice Chair of the Holyoke Conservation Commission.
Great, thanks, guys. So this has come before us a few times now. We have been out to the site with some of the neighbors there and the abutters. They expressed their concerns about water runoff that they believe was coming from the Scotts Tower project. And Councilor McGrath Smith has been working a lot with these neighbors and figuring out how best to address this with them. And yeah, I think the newest information we have is after a community meeting on site, we came to a sort of understanding with the neighbors there that they would work on what they would like to see done and kind of come to us with a plan of action as they saw might be fit. And we're ready for an update from conservation as to how things are coming along, and also from, I imagine, Councilor McGrath Smith, you'd want to talk about what the work you've been working on with them? Does that sound right? Okay. So, who'd like to start?
I don't have too much more to add to that. We had the neighborhood meeting that was August 26th. We toured the site. We talked about the existing conditions of the pond, the several events during heavy storms where there were sediments that left the site. We evaluated this at each time, and responding to that most directly, we wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that the site would be stabilized. We had the contractor install additional erosion controls. By the time of this site visit, we had also completed additional $40,000 worth of improvements to the site design to better manage the stormwater on site. So we looked at those areas, which are now stabilized. And then the proposal was from Councilor McGrath Smith about how to move forward to address the existing conditions of the pond. And that led us to the proposal that we all received from the neighborhood committee, I guess we can call it.
All right. Councilor Bartley?
Okay, so now what? I mean, what do you, Yoni, I mean, and Jeff, you know, I heard your comments from the last time. You guys took care of it after you were alerted to the disaster that is now the pond. Well, I don't care if you like my comment or not. So, you were the managers of the vendor. The vendor is Mass West. The vendor was responsible for securing and making sure the runoff didn't go leach every which way. That is not what happened. The vendor from Scotts Tower, after they wiped out that swath of trees, what a shock. When it rains, like it did heavily in the spring, water runs super fast. I'm not even a conservationist, but even I know this. It runs super fast down a steep slope. Who knew? And then it goes, and there was no berm, there was no wattle. I learned that. There was no nothing. It just seeped right down the embankment underneath 141 and leached right into the pond. Now, there's numerous emails, including one from you that I have from August 27th, said we're going to do something about that. So that's what we're here for, Yoni. What is it? Who is taking ownership of this? Hopefully the vendor. Hopefully the vendor had insurance, indemnified the city. So somebody's going to have to take ownership of what happened prior to these $40,000 of improvements. I was fully expecting that was going to be the information that we would glean tonight. And Ms. Sweeney, nice to meet you, and congratulations on your job. I know this is all like a blur, and you have nothing to do with it, which is, again, my favorite line of any new employee. I had nothing to do, I wasn't here, but this literally has nothing to do with you. I'm not understanding if, I would think you'd be more expansive. So but let's start with this, let's go slowly. Mass West, they have liability insurance and the city's indemnified. Is that a true statement?
Yes, but I'll defer to Ted to speak on more details on the contract.
I'm holding a copy of the certificate of insurance from the contract. That I figured might come up. There's a $5,000 umbrella liability. There's the standard commercial general liability that we require in a contract of this type.
And what's the value of that per incident?
It's $5 million.
$5 million. Okay, so has the city had discussions about putting a claim on the insurance policy?
Not formally. It's obviously I was aware that there was a concern about the work, and if necessary, we would do so.
Yeah. Mr. Sweeney. So, Mr. Sweeney, where do you reside? In Holyoke or elsewhere?
I do not. I'm the interim chief procurement officer because I'm not a resident.
No, I heard the title, but so you don't reside in Holyoke?
I do not.
Yeah, and that's fine. I literally don't care. But have you been up to Lindor Heights?
Not specifically at the location in question. I'm very familiar with Route 141. I've traveled it many times, and I've been to some homes and businesses along.
Okay, there's a big old pond up there on the right as you're traveling towards East Hampton. You can take a right and pull into the first drive on the left. That's Mr. Flynn. He'll be happy to come out, meet you with a coffee, and you can walk around there and see the damage that's been done to the pond.
I did take the opportunity to use Google to look on the area and kind of get familiar with it before the meeting.
Okay, so now you're familiar with the area. Now maybe you could even take a ride up there and see it for firsthand. So it would be interesting. I'd be very interested to see whether or not the city's going to. Well, how much time would the city have to make a claim on the policy?
Let's see here. Sorry, the whole contract is about 300 pages. I took selections. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right spot.
Well, there's no way I'm going to put you on the spot for this, but I guess I'd want to know at some point.
Article 9 of the guarantees and warranties specify a 1-year period from the date of issuance of certificate of use and occupancy or the date of final acceptance, whichever occurs first. In the case of this contract, I've identified final payment date is likely to be on that date or close to it, and final payment was made on October 21st of 2024. So we're well within the guarantee period.
We're well within the guarantee period. Okay, well that's some good intel, and it's a $5 million blanket policy. And have we had conversations with Mass West about this potential matter?
I have not had.
I'm going to guess not. I'm going to guess Yoni, have you had contact with Mass West about the potential of putting a claim on its insurance?
Yeah, we've talked with Mass West. I brought this to the law department. I think Mike Bissonette is on tonight and can speak more about that process.
Well, before we, I'm sure the other committee, because I can't stay too much longer, but I'm sure the other committee members will ask relevant questions to Attorney Bissonette, who's always on point. So, but at least we know the conversations were had, and Mass West is aware of the potentiality. Is that a fair comment?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, because I wouldn't want to just spring a surprise on them with something like this, and they're a very reputable firm. I think everybody knows that. So, okay. My final thing, Madam Chair, just give me. Sorry about that. My gosh, I'm getting old, Counselor. Let's see here.
Aren't we all?
You're not.
One day
Armin's
at a time.
not.
We're getting
Addie's not.
older.
Okay. Michael, handsome as always. Okay. So my email from you, Yoni, was, after your meeting on 26, and thank you to everybody who made it. I'm sure the neighbors were well represented. We discussed possible measures for improving water quality in the ponds, and these will be brought as a communication for discussion in a future city council meeting. Now, I haven't seen a communication about that.
There's a
I
communication.
could have well missed it. Believe me, if you let me finish, I would have admitted that. So, but the fact is, there's got to be, I shouldn't say fact. It looks like there's a potentiality for remediation for the condition that resulted from the water runoff. That's where I think that's the only thing that the abutters want to get to, whether it's Mr. Flynn or whether it's Mr. Attorney Glanville or whether it's Mr. Ahern, et cetera, up on that hill. All, by the way, massive taxpayers to the city of Holyoke. So I'm hopeful that if we don't have an answer today, that we'll have an answer very soon with a communication about laying out a specific game plan relative to the remediation. So that's where I am, Madam Chair, at this point.
Thank you, Councilor Bartley. Councilor McGrath-Smith? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Councilor Sullivan had asked before, so. Councilor Sullivan?
Yeah. So, Attorney Bissonette, this is kind of a long question, but and Joni, you can chime in on this. To Councilor Bartley's point about the insurance, right? The contractor itself, Mass West, is following plans laid out for it by GZA. GCA is also required to carry insurance, all right? If the contractor, and from what I heard here, was ordered to cut trees down, he cut the trees down that were ordered by the planner, by the architect, all right? Joni mentioned additional drainage was required to be put in by the contractor, but the design for the drainage would have been done by the architect. And he didn't put in enough, the possibility is they didn't put in enough drainage. All that the contractor is doing is following the plans laid out for it, right? And then I also heard mentions of improvements in design, which means the original designs were shortcoming. So if we're going through this process, right, we better include the designer and the architect as well in who we're going after and whose insurance is going to be liable for this. All right? And my final point is what I asked for in this order was copies of the contracts that went out. This would be GZA and Mass West. And all we've received here is the grants that were awarded to the city, not any of the contracts that went out. All right? There's nothing in the packet here. So we're still short on that stuff. Sure.
Counselor, the contract with Mass West, was provided. In fact, when the council's administrative assistant reached out to me, it was included in the message that he sent to me inviting me to this meeting. It had been previously provided, but I will gladly send it to you again.
And GZA as well.
That one was not requested that I could see in the. I will absolutely obtain it and provide it to you.
Yeah. And, all right, I'm good. Attorney Bissonnette, are you in agreement with my thoughts? Because years ago, I went down this same road with the insurance claims regarding the Hotel Essex, of which the city failed miserably.
I'm in agreement. I had the same experience with Grattan Street, when the architects who designed the project forgot that there were subway rails still in the street. That was an expensive mistake. So, yeah, I think there's some exposure potentially for the architect, contractor, probably not for the city. And the other caution I'd say is that to be a plaintiff, you need to have damages. To make a claim, you need to have damages. The city's damages are not what will drive this. It's the private homeowner's damages. And they would be required to file the claim under a concept of third-party beneficiary, I suppose. But that's where we are in terms of this. The issue for the city was stopping the drainage that really was causing the damage. That's been done, that's been mitigated. Now going forward, the question is who will mitigate and how. The pond, as I understand it, to make a determination of the damage really would require some testing, some core sample testing at the bottom of the ponds, which those much more educated than I am tell us that sort of like looking at rings on trees, you can determine what the most recent additions in sediment were to the ponds. So who's going to pay for that? Testing is a question. And then the issue of any other further mitigation, such as aerators or pond saturation, that remains to be seen. But those are good questions, but those are questions that I think the homeowners are going to have to debate and discuss. We'd be happy to assist whatever information is required, but I think there are valid claims by the homeowners.
Councilor Devine?
Yes, thank you. Just, people may not have seen it, but we did get an email today, and I didn't print it up, and I asked Jeffrey not to print it up because he also put in that email that if anybody wanted it printed up, they would ask him, and it was like 260 pages. I think that's what you're referring to. The other thing, Councilor Sullivan, you mentioned another company. That was the first I heard of that, so I don't know if we have that contract or not. And
GZA, Mike.
And you would get that to us if you have that?
I certainly will.
Okay, but the other one we did get, it was just up to us to whether we wanted Jeffrey to print it up, and I didn't want him to print it up. If I could continue a little bit further, if I hear it correctly, both of those companies have insurance, okay, and the homeowners have insurance, and that, Councilor Bissonnette, you're saying that they should also make a claim on their homeowner's insurance for damages?
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Attorney Bissonnette, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. It's unlikely that their homeowners would cover it, certainly worth trying and putting them on notice. Some homeowners may have an additional umbrella policy that covers these sorts of outside incidents. It would be probably in the best interest of the homeowners to individually just make claims now to alert Mass West and GZA, but certainly we represent the city, we can't advise them legally, but that might be the most prudent thing to do.
Okay. And bear with me because there was a lot of information here. They had talked about the meeting on August 26th, and there was video evidence and timing of multiple sedimentation dumps into the ponds, and the city's contract with Mass West required that the contractor prevent any sedimentation from leaving the work site, and that's on page 159 and 163 of the contract. This provision had been violated. The remedies suggested by the commissioners that 4 possible steps to address the conditions of the ponds: aerating the ponds to improve their condition. The commission could look at approving aeration, although Conservation Commission member Bernice and the city was the ultimate decider. I wanted to know if this was done, and then I apologize because I butted in when you had the next step, Councilor McGrath Smith. So was that done? Can anybody tell me if that aeration was done?
It was not.
It was not? Okay. And then dredging the ponds was considered the most expensive and intrusive option, so I'm assuming that wasn't done. A probe study to determine the nature of the bottom of the ponds, was that done?
Nothing was done yet, right? Yeah.
And no catch basin studies? Okay. And it says something here that, again, I'm not an expert at this, but claim heavy rains at that time, and were the fact that people fertilized their lawns could have contributed to the deterioration condition of the ponds. Again, I'm not an expert, but that just seems strange. And that the sediment that flowed into the ponds would only have been a dusting, according to Miss Ryan Duffy. So that's a couple of things that I looked at today. There's more, but I don't want to take up the whole meeting, but this has been going on so long, and the people up in that area are, and it's winter. It's getting to be winter. It's going to be difficult to do some of this stuff. One of the things that, and I do have to commend the property owners of Lindor Heights for their maturity, for their looking into this. They are trying everything without being angry, which I think is a pat on the back to them. And all they're asking is that they request the Mass DEP to take core samples of the Lindor ponds in order to determine the amount of damage that may have been done by the silting that has occurred since December of 2023. Again, can we ask our legislative delegation to get in touch with Mass DEP to do that? That would be a request I'd like to do.
I think we've been in touch with Mass DEP. I think Councilor McGrath Smith might have some additional information since
Okay.
she worked on this study with the residents.
Okay, and let's see. Well, I don't want to take up a lot of time. I can always get back to this and let other people speak, but certainly if Councilor McGrath Smith, but it was extremely interesting to me today to go through all this, and I've been up to the property. I've seen what's going on up there. Mr. Flynn has provided me with pictures, and I'm just trying, and I think we're all trying to, including everybody here, we're trying to figure out some way to help these homeowners up there. So for now, I'll let somebody else continue.
Councilor McGrath Smith?
Thank you. So I want to thank Councilor Bertley and Councilor Sullivan for starting us down this line of questioning. And it's clear to me from the contract where it states that sediment and erosion control measures shall be deployed during construction as required by the permits. The contractor shall perform all work required to furnish, install, maintain, remove, and lawfully dispose of siltation and sediment control measures necessary to protect all areas outside the work areas from siltation, sedimentation, or siltation damage. it's clear we have video and photographs that there was damage to the pond that is related to that section of the contract. So if the contract has been broken, and it very much seems to me that it has been, I don't understand the advice from our city solicitor that the homeowner should take individual action to individually file claims against GZA and against Mass West. I don't understand why the city is unable or unwilling at this time to put in its own claim that it has been damaged as a result of this contract the terms of this contract not being met. And I heard the phrase third-party beneficiary. So I'm not quite sure I understand that phrase. I'm not a lawyer by trade. But I do understand that damage has been done, and I'm not understanding why the city is not willing to move forward when it's clear that there are measures of the contract that were broken.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath-Smith. Attorney Bissonnette, did you have a response there?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I appreciate the frustration. The statement that the city was damaged is correct, but the damage has already been mitigated by the redesign. So we cannot claim damages on behalf of residents. However, if 141 had gotten washed out, well, it's a state road, so the state could claim damages. But if a city road had gotten washed out, we certainly would be able to move against the insurance. But these are usually multi-party lawsuits. My goal initially right now is to gather information and hopefully to get DEP to step in. We clearly are working with them on a number of fronts, including on the sewer issues. But if we could get their help to have the Corps evaluated, then at least we would know what the level of damages are and what mitigation steps need to be taken. I don't see dredging the ponds as a solution, and I'm not certain how to weigh the geologist's comment that this represented a mere dusting. Whether or not that's factually accurate, I think is beyond the scope of most of our professional knowledge. So this will be a highly technical question. And I think, as I said before, prudence would dictate anyone who has a claim should put Mass West on notice. They clearly are on notice because the city already laid a claim against them and against the designer, and had the remedy of redesign that cost $40,000. So as far as the city is concerned, it's been satisfied. I agree, though, that the off-site damages that happened on private property should be explored, and I'm not sure that the city actually has a role in filing that claim. So that's a dichotomy that we're facing. And certainly happy to assist any of the homeowners in validating their claims, but I'm not sure the city is the one to push them forward. But at least once the claims are made, then the parties can engage in some good faith negotiation about what might be done and who will pay for what. At this point, those are my only thoughts.
So maybe I'm not understanding the legal definition of the term to mitigate. Because from my perspective, to mitigate means to make less severe or to repair. And while I agree that some work has been done around redesign of the drainage and the regrading of the trail so that, future, reoccurrences of damage will not occur, that to me is not the same as true mitigation, which would be undoing or lessening the damage that has already occurred. So when we say that we have, it has been mitigated, maybe there's a legal term or definition to that I'm not understanding, but from a, you know, a layman's understanding of the word to mitigate, you know, this isn't it.
That's why the homeowner,
I'm sorry, Attorney Bissonnette. I missed what you said.
I said, that's why I said there's a dichotomy. And your position is something that I think the homeowners would hope they'd find on a jury. I think there can be two different interpretations, and on-site and off-site. The point I think that's elemental here is who has damages. We don't have damages as a city because the property that is owned and damaged does not belong to the city. If it did, then there's a possibility that going forward, the city could be involved in that claim. But unless there's ongoing off-site siltration still occurring because of the runoff from the changes in the contours up on the hill, then that's a different story. My understanding, and I could be way off on this, and it perhaps really may wait until the thaw in the spring to really see for sure if the changes work. I just don't know if they worked or not. We do know there was originally a problem. We're told that it's been remedied, and we haven't heard anything or seen anything to the contrary. So that's where we're at, as I say, at this point.
And the city has no grounds upon which to levy a fine or a claim against the company on the basis that they did not meet the terms of the contract to protect all areas outside the work area from siltation, sedimentation, or siltation damage.
If you're asking me if that damage did occur, the answer is yes.
So if they've
The answer
broken
is-
the contract
And it
with
is
us.
it is a breach of the contract.
So
But the
based on
BC
the
Well-
fact that it's a breach of contract, we can't levy a claim or move forward within a fine structure? Like, there's nothing for us to do based on a breach of contract? It seems to me.
We
that-
already have a claim. We have an open claim, an ongoing claim, that's already been at least partially satisfied. So I'm not concerned in that regard as we pursue this. The question is, we don't even know the level of damages to the private parties here. And there's a real question about the city's obligation to determine those damages since they did not occur to the city. So, again, are these homeowners the third-party beneficiary of that very provision that you stated? We believe they are. And so they would be entitled to step into the city's shoes and seek those damages. But again, you know, I don't intend to do a TED Talk here on the law, but that's sort of how this plays out. So again, we're in a more of an assist litigation than anything else.
Thank you.
Counselor Bartley.
Thank you. Madam Chair, and this, I promise, is my last time for tonight, because I do have to go. Just through the chair to Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney, and first of all, to Mike, thanks for clarifying, because that was very helpful to me. GZA, we also want to see their insurance as well. Okay, I'm sure you've got that as well. And you didn't bring it with you, I know, but you can provide what their insurance covers or doesn't cover, correct?
I should be able to, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. In terms of, I think a great point was raised, I think it was Councilor Devine, said about Mass DEP. Somebody, meaning I hope it's Yoni, but you know, I'm not Yoni's supervisor, but somebody needs to make the determination as to what the damages are on the aforesaid water course, I'll just leave it at that, that surrounds Lindor Heights. I heard what Attorney Bissonnette says, and I'm going to respond to that in 2 seconds, but somebody's got to make a determination as to what the damages are, because it appears, at least to this layperson, that there are damages. one thing for the chair to consider, you may or may not want to suspend rules to allow the public to address, and if you did do that, you may or may not want to, cap the amount of time, regardless if the public does address. The public only addresses the chair, nobody else. Okay, so that's how that goes. In terms of what my good friend Attorney Bissonnette opined, I absolutely hear exactly what he said. I just would want to counter this way. Just, Madam Chair, just point of information. The parties to the contract were whom exactly? What was it? Not the City of Holyoke or was it the Kessler Land Trust? Who was it, Yoni?
It was the city.
Okay, the city was a party to the contract. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, and this is to my friend attorney, well, you could be an attorney, Meg. I could see that in your future. To the Ward 7 counselor. There are plenty of theories under law to go ahead and figure out who's going to pay. And that theory is called subrogation. Now, it would boggle the mind of a non-lawyer to say that the City of Holyoke, as Attorney Bissonnette claims, would not be the one to determine. However, it also raises the question that if the City of Holyoke is the one entering into a contract, and the City of Holyoke being a party to a contract, and in that contract, abutters are damaged, then I'm guessing what Attorney Bissonnette's saying is that the residents of Lindor Heights need to file a claim against the City of Holyoke. Now, I know, and I'm positive that's what it is. So, so under the theory of subrogation, the City of Holyoke is not gonna come up with the money. They're going to point to GZA, or they're going to point to Mass West. I think what's frustrating is to hear that steps have to be taken in litigation from innocent victims. Now, if that is the case, then I'm sure that the mayor and the law department will try to help. I mean, Attorney Glanville is a distinguished attorney, former solicitor, lives in that area, he's impacted. But, this isn't his job to be filing lawsuits. But I'm sure Attorney Glanville, who is a friend and colleague, and he's been at this game a lot longer than me, would gladly work with Attorney Ball or Attorney Bissonnette to figure out the most efficient and effective and proper way to procedurally move this thing along. So if it requires a complaint, or if it requires a simple letter to the city, then so be it. If they have to sue the city, which obviously I can't advocate because I'm on the city side in this matter, but I can still say the words and hypothetically, then so be it. But Attorney Bissonnette can't say the words either because he is paid by the city. He can't be saying, come sue the city. I don't think he can anyhow. And in theory, I can't. So I guess I just did though, because that's like the only way it could work. I mean, you don't say that the homeowners are going to have to go chase around an architectural firm at a Mass West. Absolutely not. You go after the parties to the contract, and the party to the contract is the City of Holyoke. So let's not pretend that that's not the case, Mike. So if you want to duck that, then hopefully we can give some kind of advice and guidance to Attorney Glanville and to the abutters that are up there. But the final point, Madam Chair, and thanks for your patience. The final point is, Mike's absolutely right. We got to figure out what the damages are. What is it? And then you can go figure out the costs and who's going to pay for it. Pictures are fine, but somebody's got to go put a skimmer down there or whatever you got to do, an aerator or what stuff that I don't even know what it is. How about I throw out the word waddle? I'd like that. I learned that word from Mr. Flynn. So I'm just saying somebody's got to figure out what is the actual damage to this property. I think we got probably some deep pockets somewhere to go fix this stuff. But you got to get there first, and then the city, I think, has got to give some guidance to the homeowners, because the city initiated this whole thing, And in my humble opinion, the city either didn't monitor the deal as well as they could have, or they relied on professionals who didn't do the due diligence they needed to do, especially in terms of the runoff, as Councilor Sullivan described. So hopefully, some of that helped. Thank you.
So Councillor McGrath Smith and then Councillor Sullivan.
And after that.
So I would like to know, and I don't know who the right person is to answer this question, whether it's our city solicitor or whether it's Yoni or Jeff. It's clear that it makes sense for us to move forward with getting a core sample so we can evaluate the damage in some objective way. What is the next step in terms of doing that? I'm hearing that we have a claim open already. Is that something that we need a motion from council on? Or is it something that just can be determined by the mayor along with the solicitor to ask as part of that open claim for that core sample to be done? Is that something that would need to come from conservation or from the commission? That's my question.
Jeff?
I don't know if he heard you. Counselor Bissonnette?
Jeff has the floor.
Oh, I thought she was asking questions.
He's either to the,
I'm sorry, I thought she was asking to Counselor
Just whoever wants to
Bissonnette.
answer.
Yeah.
I think.
So,
Mr.
so,
Reynolds is
Okay.
so Madam Chair, so related to the, we have asked, Yoni has reached out to DEP and sent
Okay.
the correspondence that the actual report that was completed by the neighborhood residents. And so, and they lay out very clear, they make very clear requests in here. And so one thing, I would very much like to see the community, some of these issues resolved. But I would ask the question, though, related to if we go down the road of the cores, and I don't know what that would cost to do that, it may be that we're not, so I would love to see the community get an aerator, to try to solve the problems that are there. But I don't know from the solicitor, how you go about doing that. What I suspect is going to happen if we sue the contractors is that they may very well be willing to do these core samples, but there are 5 outfalls that go to those ponds. And they're also going to go back and they're going to look at previous years that show that there was a lot of nutrients, a lot of algae, and a lot of duckweed on those ponds previously. So I'm not sure the right way. Look, there was damage to those ponds from sediment at that site, but there's been ongoing damage for a long time as well. How much damage occurred, I'm not exactly sure at that event, and I'm not so sure that a core sample is going to be able to do that. I'd rather see us somehow skip the core samples and try to fix the problem that exists there now that I think would cost a lot less and would occur a lot more quickly if we could figure out a way to get them maybe an aeration system that might cost $20,000 when an analysis is going to cost half that to start with. So I'm not sure of the way forward. I'd like to see the neighborhood get some resolution. But again, these companies are going to come back, and it's going to be hard to prove that that particular event caused significant damage to those ponds compared to what's happened for the last 50 years. So I just think that's something that we have to think about. And again, there was damage that was caused by those events. They were extreme events. We don't design to those events right now. So when you go after the engineers, well, we spec a certain design. We haven't caught up because of climate change. You're having these extreme events, and if we came to you and wanted to build an extreme design, you wouldn't fund it because it would cost too much. So we're in this situation that we somehow need to resolve. I'd love to see the community get a fix. I don't know what it is. I'd love to see us be able to negotiate with GZA and the contractor and say, pay them $20,000 and we can end this and it will be less expensive down the road. But I don't know how you do that. I'm not an attorney, so I'll stop there.
Councillor Sullivan?
Yep. So either Jeff or Johnny, in this whole stack of different grants that we've received, has all the grant money been spent already? Or is there still some grant money available?
There's still grant money available. I don't know that it could be applied to the sort of testing that's being proposed. All of the grant funding we've gotten for this project has been for the improvements themselves. I'm not sure that this type of expense would be approved for that use.
But you're not sure?
I don't think so.
Okay, are there other grants or other funds? I mean, 20,000 seems, this is the first time I've heard a number for the aeration
Right.
piece of it. All right?
Just to clarify.
Yep.
So that number actually came from the community. I think they put $8,000 up, but they indicated that that was, maybe a smaller system. And again, I think the community can speak to that. But that also didn't include getting power to the actual device and other things. And again, they asked for 3 things here, and so in the report, and how we get to that is interesting. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. No, you didn't. You're answering the question for me. So, but we're not talking about millions and millions of dollars here. We're not trying to restore, Lake Placid, New York here or something.
Right.
This is well within the scope of the abilities of the city. I mean, without getting into any litigation or anything at all, I would think.
Right. And I might be misinterpreting the intent of Ray and Carrie, the residents who put it together, but I think that was the hope from the 3 recommendations provided, that there should be a way for the different parties to come together in good faith and, I guess for lack of a better term, throw down for a solution instead of pursuing costly legal remedies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. This is GZA, okay, thank you.
All right, well, I don't want to tie everybody up here all night looking
Right,
at a contract
I'll
I've
read it
seen for
later.
the first time.
Are you all set, Counselor Sullivan?
I'm good. My questions about the grant monies has been answered. I need some time to look at this a little bit.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
I think I hate to keep I really hate to keep tabling stuff, but I think I've got enough information to at least if we can carry it on one more meeting before we make a recommendation.
All right. Just for a little clarity for me, just because there's a lot of info to take in. I think the report from the neighborhood was really good. I think the asks are very reasonable. How we get there, like Jeff said, I'm not sure because it's always, we're always trying to figure out how to pay for what. I'm hearing Councilor Bissonnette say that since it's not, since the city's not specifically affected, that we can't file the claim. So I see that as an unfortunate part of this. But I mean, as a homeowner, if a tree falls on your house, you have to make the claim when the tree falls on your house, whether it falls from the neighbor's house or not. So I can see where that makes sense. I'm not sure how easy it is to file a claim, but I can't imagine that it would be a bad idea. I wonder if the city can't be trying to figure out how to fill the requests here. It looks like we've already started by contacting DEP. So I see a good faith initiative here on our part. I mean, we've been working on this for a while, and I know, Meg, that you've been working with everyone to help bring this together and make sure everybody's represented and that their concerns are addressed. So I see us doing our best to address those concerns. I hope you all realize this is being taken very seriously, and we are looking for ways to deliver on this. I would, I think your recommendation to table this once more is a fine one. We do have a meeting in January on the 13th. We could have that next meeting as soon as then, and then if we table it again, I would expect us to somehow figure out or get more answers to, you know, if we've reached out to the DEP, what have they said? You know, we should have more responses. Hopefully by then our city solicitors may have an idea of how we can be helpful or what absolutely must be done in order for there to be some solution here. The idea that a aerator could be purchased and you know, clean the pond or help you know, get the air back in and kill the bacteria or whatever it's supposed to do to, like, you know, make the ponds healthy again is a great idea. Again, how do we get that paid for by who? So I see a lot of things coming together finally. We're not there yet, but at least everyone's working on it. Councilor McGrath-Smith, did you want to say something else?
I just really want us to specifically name that if we're looking for us to table this to the 13th, that at that meeting, the city solicitor would be able to give a report as to the status of the open claim and information around how, whether it's through the homeowner or through the city, how a claim can be filed based on this breach of contract so that the solution can occur. I don't think it should come out of grant funding. It shouldn't come out of some other source. It needs to come from the one of the contractors, whether it's the architect or the folks who did the work on the ground. It's clear there was a breach of contract, and I know I'm not a lawyer. I find it really hard to believe that this city can't say, based on this contract, that we can't step in and name that because there's a breach of contract that we can't file the claim. And again, I'll just have to do some sitting with that and keep reaching out and having those conversations with the city solicitor to understand why it is that we can't.
Thank you. Attorney Bissonnette.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that there's a difference between filing a lawsuit and filing a claim. When I talk about the dichotomy, it's that the city will not be going to court on this. However, in the event that we're talking a need for $30,000 to resolve this, to purchase an aerator, and if that's all in, then I think having the parties meet with GZA and Mass to discuss a settlement is a major option here. I will speak frankly. Litigation right now, the city has seen bills from other firms that are substantially higher than $25,000. So the idea of trying to get these companies to avoid claims against their insurance premiums, as well as the need to come up with counsel, there may be some room for resolution here. I certainly, if I had my druthers, would love to see either company or both write checks to buy an aerator for that pound. But, you know, that's a work in progress. And right now, we don't have very much evidence that indicates what the level of damages are or whether Mother Nature is going to resolve that come spring. So I think this is a good time for us to understand what the neighbors might be willing to settle for in terms of getting the pond reinvigorated or whatever it needs to be done. And then whether there's any other issues in that neighborhood, because I would suspect that, like all good lawyers, lawyers for either company would want to sign off from all the neighbors involved in that particular neighborhood. So those are my thoughts. I think we may be able to see some progress by the middle of January that we can report back to you on. And we will continue to pursue with EPA the possibility of DEP rather, possibility of their involvement to help out here. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette. So just to be clear, when you say and that a process is being initiated and that is, can we expect that in January when we meet again, you'd be able to tell us or give like a process to the residents if they need it of how to file a claim or with whom to file a claim or who to set up a meeting with, or that the city would be sort of helping to file a claim with them on their behalf?
Well, what I anticipated happening initially is to talk with both companies to make sure they understand the nature of the neighbor's claims.
Okay.
And whether they have all of this documentation. They may look at that and you only may know more about this than me, obviously, but they may look at that and say, hey, let's talk, what do they need to fix this? Again, these companies do a lot of big work. They have a lot of big premiums on their insurance policies. It's not cheap to get $5 million a job. So they may be amenable to discussion, certainly.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette. That sounds promising. Councilor Sullivan?
Okay, just so we leave here tonight with a clear plan forward, is it going to be Joni or is it going to be Attorney Bissonnette or the purchasing department? Who wants to spearhead? Who is going to contact these two vendors and see if they want to come to the table and resolve this without anybody having to file a claim or whatever? Who's taking ownership?
I thought I heard Councilor Bissonnette say something to that effect.
Yeah, I thought I understood that Councilor Bissonnette would meet with both parties and
I just
start
wanna
the
be-
conversation.
Yeah, I'll be happy to take the lead on this, Mike.
Okay. All right, I want to be 100% when we walk out of here. So, yep.
I just have a real quick
Councilor Devine?
Yeah, has anybody thought of going to the Department of Transportation because of 141 being a state road? And if it's my understanding, if I'm correct, the water or whatever you want to call it went over or under that road? Should we be having them into these discussions as well, the area that takes care of Holyoke?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
At request of the committee from the last meeting, I did reach out to, her name is Paula. I got her contact from Councilor Anderson Burgos. She was just unable to make it for this meeting. She did ask me to just communicate a question as far as exactly what their role in this would be.
Jeffrey, could you just repeat Paula from where?
She's from Mass DOT.
Thank you.
District 2.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
If I might, my question was, does the Department of Transportation have any, I don't want to use the word fault, but should they be involved in this as well? Because the runoff, if you want to call it that, I believe went under 141 or, I'm not sure, but it seems to me that one extra party talking about this isn't going to hurt. And that would be the Department of Transportation in District 2. And I do want to, I'm extremely happy the way this meeting went. And I had originally talked to the abutters about having something at Holyoke Media, and I don't think we need to do that any longer because I think we've really done a lot today. Again, I don't know if you want to say anything. I'd certainly make a motion, but if you feel, I feel great tonight that things have gone better, you know, that we're getting there. Thank you.
Counselor Sullivan? Are you all set?
Well, I'm all set. Before we move on, would any of the citizens like to make a very brief statement, or are you happy with what you've heard so far?
Just come on up to the mic.
Yeah.
I'm Ray Ahern, 23 Dixon Lane. Actually, I'm very happy with a proposal that avoids litigation. And so I think as the city solicitor, member of the city's legal team, was putting forth an effort to get together with the two companies that had contractual obligations and move forward in that sense. I know, in putting together that report, it wasn't clear to me in terms of a remedy whether an aeration system would do the trick, but at the same time, it has to be helpful. And the cost concerned putting in that kind of an aerator in Mr. Flynn's pond, it was just an estimate. I mean, it could go up to 50,000. I just don't know. You'd have to get some experts in. It could be 2 aerators that would be necessary to do the job. But moving forward, as has been suggested, and not even in the absence of, as Jeff had suggested, not even doing the core sample study might be the way to go, and to see how amenable these two companies are to doing the right thing. Because clearly there had been mistakes made, and hopefully I think we can move forward as has been suggested, and it's the way to go. I don't speak for the neighborhood, I'm just speaking as an individual. I certainly would want to have the input of other neighbors on this, as well as those that are affected, and particularly Mr. Glanville, because without his input, I mean, the legal side was well beyond my pay grade, and but certainly made sense to do this as in the most conciliatory fashion possible, and hopefully the companies, want to be good corporate citizens, and will address this issue reasonably without having to do insurance claims and litigate the issue.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think, and to answer part of what you said, I think Jeff made a very good point earlier. If we take a core sample, it might unearth things that the neighbors and the pond owner
Yeah, I'm not
would be better off historically just leaving alone.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Is that correct, Joe?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So if we can, this will give yourselves a couple of weeks to think about it, and us to get some more answers. I'm happy right now. If I don't want to take your spot out, as far as I'm concerned, I would make a motion that item number 5 has been complied with. We've been supplied with the contracts and all of that, and that we table item 5.
Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
All right, so motion to tape, to mark item 5 complied with.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Counselor Ocasio?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
All right, and then the other motion to table item 4 to January 13th to get additional information from our city solicitors on solutions.
Excuse me, did you vote on that?
Sorry?
Did you vote on that?
Yep.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, did I not vote on?
I don't think so.
I voted yes on
Okay,
item
sorry.
5, sorry.
Second.
And this is to the 13th of January.
To table item 4 to the January 13th to get more input.
Thank you.
Counselor Ocasio?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Me, yes. All right. What's the other motion?
Motion to, oh no, we have another, there's a small item there. 5, yeah, it's a little thing there, snuck in there. Item 6, anniversary Hill Park Trail and Utility Corridor Contract Documents. What's
Oh,
that?
that was part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that part of?
That's part of what we just got dropped
Okay, so
off.
that was complied with?
Okay.
Okay.
Item 6 complied with.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second,
All in favor, Counselor Ocasio? Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Counselor Givner, yes. And
Counselor, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Counselor Ocasio? Yes. Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Devine? Counselor Anderson Burgos?
C.
Counselor Givner, yes. Thank you, everyone.